Hey everyone, welcome to a special episode of 2 Minutes to Review. It's Matt.
And it's Zach.
Longest album review normally in under 2 minutes wins. However, you've clicked on the picture. This is not an album, rather a single, but it is a very important single, hence why we are here talking about the brand new one for the last time, the Beatles.
I mean, let's just say that one more time. A brand new song, which is also the last song from the Beatles. Yeah, you haven't heard incorrectly. Here we are in the year 2023 reviewing a new song from the Beatles, which they are dubbing as the last. A little history for you. You probably already know it, and chances are you've already watched a really great 13-minute documentary that they did with Peter Jackson, just explaining the history. But in short, if you recall, in 1995, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr got their hands on these demos that John Lennon recorded in the 70s when he was kind of just laying low from music, being a parent. And they decided, let's make some new Beatles music out of this. They released Free as a Bird and Real Love. However, there was actually a third song, and a third demo, I should say, that they all really loved, but they're having issues because it wasn't really up to par recording-wise. They couldn't get the piano too far away from the vocals, and they were trying to see if they can use technology at the time to fix it. They kind of just like, we let's put it aside. They never got to it because then, of course, George Harrison passed away in 2001. But then fast forward all the way to 2023, or actually maybe even 2021, when they're working on the Get Back documentary with Peter Jackson. And they're noticing that Peter Jackson's using this interesting new AI technology to kind of splice some footage together from old archives. And they were like, wonder if maybe this technology can help us with music. They tested it with remastering Revolver. And then they were like, how about let's give Peter this song? And sure enough, they were actually able to use AI technology to separate the piano from the vocals. In fact, if you recall over the summer, Paul McCartney kind of caused a stir and craziness that he revealed, yeah, we might actually create a new Beatles song with AI technology. Everyone was like, wait, what? And he had to clarify what he actually meant. Sure enough, here we are, now and then, the brand new, and what they're dubbing as the final Beatles song. Holy cow. Kind of crazy that we're here.
Did you have that on your bingo card for 2023?
And let's be real. It's been a crazy year. Definitely not on my bingo card. So, I think let's just get right into it, Matt. How about,
I'm
Matt?
ready.
You're ready? You know what then, Matt? I am going to be a gentleman. I'm going to let you give your review first and see if you can give the longest review in under 2 minutes.
Oh, well, all right. I feel privileged.
You should be. Anyway, let me know when you're ready, sir.
Let's do it.
3, 2, 1, go.
So as a final piece of music from one of the greatest bands to ever do music, this song, I almost said album, this song is a very fitting final piece of music, both tonally and lyrically. And I don't know if John knew it at the time when he was writing the song, but he kind of summarized perfectly like everything going on with the Beatles then and everything going on with the Beatles now. Not being together, kind of being apart, everybody's kind of doing their own thing. And now it's kind of fitting that Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr pick up this song and be the last two surviving Beatles and put it together. The AI technology and the way that they use it is how they should use AI technology in music. You don't need to do more with AI in music. This is exactly how to use it perfectly to correct a piece of music and to bring it to life instead of generating just fake things on the internet. But from a musical perspective, one of the things that I kind of don't agree with how they did, and I love how they kind of pieced it together and the tone is on the darker side, but I don't think that they really matched the new modern production of like Paul McCartney and Ringo and the strings to John in the original recordings. I think if they took that down a notch and made that more of a vintage feel, it would have went a lot further, in my opinion. But overall, I think this is a fitting song to end the Beatles catalog?
Time's locked in. Out of 5 Ringo stars, I hate myself.
Yes,
What
you
do
should.
you what do you give the last new Beatles song?
4 stars.
4 stars. You know what? Before I let you get too deep into your thoughts on this, do you mind if I go ahead and give my 2 cents?
Whenever you're ready.
Count me down.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, let's just get right into it. It's a beautiful song. It's beautiful. John's voice it's just moving to hear him sing those lyrics. But I also love how the piano and the violins, it's just a very nice touch. It makes you kind of reminisce about some of the classic or, like experimental eras of the Beatles, like Sgt. Pepper's era, and even some of Abbey Road. It's just a very fitting sound. And hearing Paul McCartney and John Lennon's harmonize one last time, it's definitely moving. And of course, the lyrics are going to make you kind of tear up a little bit. It's a beautiful Beatles song, and I should love it wholeheartedly. And I'll even go ahead and say, not that Real Love and Free as a Bird are bad songs. I'd argue that out of the 3, this is definitely more of a memorable song. The hooks, the chorus, and the verses are much more memorable and catchy. But for some reason, I just can't help but feel dirty listening to the song. I'm trying to get over the fact that they used AI technology. And I know that they, in theory, so they say they didn't use AI technology to create a new sound. It's just to separate 2 sounds. But something about it, and I'm also trying to remind myself, hey, as the documentary even said, the Beatles were one of the first bands to always embrace new technology. And if they were still around, they probably would have used AI technology before any other band or even any other artist. But just knowing how much AI can bend the rules of reality in a way, something about it just feels a little off-putting to me, and makes me question it. I just really wish I didn't know that they used AI technology. I wish they had called it something else, because I think, sadly, that knowledge, as much as I'm trying to tell myself and trying to also not sound so old and bitter, that knowledge has kind of tainted my experience with what should be a beautiful moment as a Beatles fan.
And out of 5 Ringo stars?
3.5.
Okay.
And this is also kind of tough because, as we mentioned, this is the greatest band in the world, period. So the hype around any sort of new music from the Beatles is going to be high and almost maybe kind of distract you from any flaws. Admittedly, maybe that's why I'm also trying to be a little bit more like nitpicky, but it just saddens me that I'm so kind of turned off by the AI aspect. I don't know if you felt the same way.
No, not at all. Because I think of it from a different perspective. AI can be a good thing when it's used properly. If it's put to use and it's used to enhance something that's already there, or to make what's already there usable, like they did with Lennon, that's perfectly fine. Lennon recorded it, he played the piano on it, and they needed to separate, for all intents and purposes, the frequencies between the piano and his vocals. On a very basic level, I have no idea how they did this, but for years, I've always wanted to know how to do something like that. I always wanted to separate vocals from music, and lay vocals over different tracks and things like that. I could never do it. I couldn't figure out how the hell to do it, but apparently somebody way smarter than me figured out how to do it. And if you can do that and it can be done tastefully, that's perfectly fine. It's another tool in the studio. However, with the uprise of people recreating vocals for deceased artists and putting them over other songs, like, and I know She's Everywhere right now, but I'm going to say it because it was the last one that I heard. There was somebody who used AI to generate Taylor Swift's breakup song from Travis Kelce. And it was spot on. It was creepy because the songwriting and the voice were something that Taylor Swift could have very easily have done. To me, that's wrong. But in this light, in this way, that Paul and Ringo and how they got Peter Jackson to help them with this, I think it's perfectly acceptable.
I guess to your point, that's taking a lot of trust into that what they're telling us, that all they did was separate the vocals from the piano, is true, can't help but wonder, is that all they did? Did they maybe do a little bit more to like maybe add it just makes me question, what did they actually use the technology for? Like, I
So,
just don't
okay,
know if I believe, like, I want to believe them, but I don't know.
let me ask this question then. How different is it? I know this is a big no-no in my book, but I hate autotune. What are your takes on autotune?
I think autotune can be used as an interesting tool and instrument. I think the way even just T-Pain has used it on some of his earlier stuff, it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm using this to enhance my vocals and voice. I'm using this as a way to kind of alter a sound and create a new sound. That can be interesting. And I also feel like it's a little different because, at least in this scenario, that's just kind of changing someone's vocals to sound different. Yes, granted, sometimes with autotune, it could be to fix someone's voice. But at least they're, and this is going to sound morbid, at least they're alive. AI has been being used to take a deceased person's sound and create it out of thin air. At least with autotune, you had to be in the studio to use the tool.
Right. Well, to the credit of the documentary, they played the original recording from the cassette of Lennon and the piano. Then they played the separated single track with his vocals, clean, nothing else. To me, if they cleaned it up a little bit and used EQ and modernized it a little bit, perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable. They didn't have to auto-tune his voice. They didn't have to do anything weird or trickery. The only thing that they did was remove a piano for all intents and purposes. And I think that right there that's fine. As long as they didn't rebuild him in the AI and, they typed up the lyrics and somehow fed the lyrics into AI and had it sing it. And I don't think that AI could have done that because maybe, but
I think it could have. And that's the thing.
I don't think so.
I agree that if they didn't do that, then cool, awesome, great use of technology. I just can't help but be skeptical. And trust me, I wish I wasn't. I wish I could just enjoy it for what it is, because it is a beautiful song. And I mentioned before, I do love the orchestral elements to this song. I really, to me, this is the Beatles trying to sound as much like Beatles at the height of their creativity as they could, even more so than the last new songs, quote unquote.
The only thing I don't like is that they didn't necessarily match, and like I said in the review, the tonality of like a new McCartney and a new Ringo and a new orchestra to the oldness that's on the recording of Lennon. Like, they did clean it up, but it's still, you can tell it's older.
But you see, I didn't mind that. It wasn't as like odd to me when I was listening to it. And I kind of almost felt like that was kind of cool. It added to the experimental Beatles era, where like they would kind of play around with audio sounds, and it worked. I understand how that could maybe not, but in this case, I kind of thought that was vintage Beatles to mix Lennon's kind of weird experimentalness with McCartney's straightforward pop sound. That almost made me feel like this was even more closer to the Beatles as opposed to Free as a Bird and Real Love.
I absolutely loved this song. The production on everything else was kind of weird, but I can say that listening to a young Lennon and an old McCartney was very interesting. Because think about it, right? How often in music do you get to hear something like that done? And here they are kind of singing almost to each other, like, I miss you.
That's a good way to describe it too. And I think that's what made this even more powerful, is that it really did feel like two friends reconnecting, which then it becomes even more painful to listen to it when you remember, oh, wait, nope, one of them's gone. It's heartbreaking at points to listen to it in the best way possible.
Right. And this is almost like the song at the end of the movie, right? Like this is as the credits are rolling. This is the song that you hear them singing about their career and their lives together and everything, and that they've been separated for so long because Lennon's been dead since 1980.
And going back to how this is the final song, if you think about it, it's almost beautiful that Paul and Ringo at least finally get to have a proper goodbye. Because if you think about how, if you depending on, which stories you believe in, following Beatles history, there's the stories of they were trying to have Abbey Road be their final goodbye, but then for various reasons they were trying to, consider maybe another album. Then they came back to do Let It Be, and that was like not really the way they wanted to end it, and it kind of ended in really a sour note. And then because of John Lennon's death, murder, let's be frank, they were kind of robbed from having that real, true farewell that they always wanted, that they wanted to have on their terms. I mean, which is kind of, if you think about it, for the biggest band in the world to not really have had a chance to go out on their terms, it speaks volumes. And I think it's nice that they finally get to do it on this song, at least Ringo and Paul.
Yeah, agreed.
One other thing I want to note before we reveal who gave the longest review. Matt, it is the year 2023. And within the span of 2 or 3 weeks, not only have we reviewed a new Beatles song, but also a new Rolling Stones album. What freaking year is it again that we are reviewing new music, not collections, new music from the Rolling Stones and the Beatles?
It's 1969, baby. Yeah.
Like, I kind of feel like Austin Powers in his time-traveling Jaguar. Like,
it's crazy.
And they're both really good, too.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that, like, to make it kind of more of a kick in the pants.
There's really nothing to say to that. If you told me at the beginning of this year that we got new Rolling Stones and new Beatles, and it was going to be quality music and not a cash grab on either side, I'd say you're crazy.
I'm not even going to ask you which you preferred better, because I would also argue that both are very different. Other than, and besides the fact that, one's a song and one's an actual album.
I was going to say there's no comparison. Let's just enjoy the moment.
Not only did the Stones do that, but they also gave us a collaboration with Paul McCartney. Like, another full circle moment. Like, holy cow. Again, what freaking year is it? But none of that matters.
Better have some good music.
I know. Like, 2024, if 2024 was a year, or a person, I should say, they would be sweating right now. So, with that said, though, Matt, none of that matters, as we mentioned before. What really matters is who gave the longest review in under 2 minutes. Matt, would you like to know how you did?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
it was the Beatles.
Cool.
We're good.
Cool. Bye, guys. No. Let's keep to the format. You came in at 1 minute and 49 seconds.
That's how we do it here.
Well, Matt, what did I do?
You came in at 2 minutes and 6 seconds.
Ooh, not bad for me, though. I've definitely done worse. But congratulations on winning. But you know what? No. Congratulations to all of us for winning, because we got a new Beatles song in the year 2023. Did I mention that?
And it's good.
But you know what? Let us know what you actually think. Do you agree with us? Do you think that we are off our rockers? We don't know what we're talking about. This song's actually not that good, or we're not giving the song enough credit? Zach, you're being too crazy with the AI theories? Let us know on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Yeah, we're on TikTok. Woo! Threads. Is anyone still on Threads? I don't know. At Epic Footnote. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel to hear more episodes like this. We have a ton of Beatles episodes, by the way. Revisit Abbey Road and name our 3 favorite songs on that album. Highly recommend it. It's a great episode. Go listen to it on any streaming platform, but especially YouTube. And also, massive thank you to Lucky 13 Beard Co.
If you've never tried a beard balm or oil before, these are the guys you're going to want to do it with. Log on to Lucky13beardco.com. They have a ton of unique scents, including our own. It is the Lemmy. It smells of bourbon, tobacco, cola, and leather. Everything that Lemmy from Motorhead was all about. And if that's not enough to get you interested, we're going to give you 10% off of your entire order. Use the code EFP10 at checkout with anything in your cart. put it in, 10% off. Lucky13, the number beardco.com.
Speaking of purchasing stuff, if you go to the link in any of our bios on any of our social media pages, you'll find a link to our merch site where you can buy Epic Footnote t-shirts, hats, hoodies, coffee mugs, tumblers. It has our cool little logo on it. It's a great way to support us, great way to share with your friends how you listen to two guys talk about music on a podcast. It's a good holiday gift, just saying, around the corner. Good little stocking stuffer. Thanks so much for listening, and we hope you join us for another episode real soon.
See ya.